A quick thank you to AG1 for sponsoring today's video. My wife's truck, the 66 Chevrolet C10 back here, known as Longmire, is officially going under the knife once again. Power Tour is coming up soon, and well, we've got a honey-do list, and let's just say it's not short, that's for sure. We're gonna start with a fuel tank relocation kit from behind the seat to a bed-mounted kit, and we're gonna take this 292 Straight 6 from carbureted to fuel injection using the Holley sniper system. I'm really excited to see how well it runs on that. There's a lot to do, let's dig in. Now this 292 in here has already been swapped to a Holley 4-barrel carburetor, which is great, huge improvement, but quite honestly, it's over-carbed and it's cankerous. It's a cankosaurus, basically. It is the most difficult thing to start, other than the vanishing paint, I should say. And when it gets warm, it acts all goofy, and I've been through this thing a couple times and just haven't quite gotten there. Now, can a guy sit down and figure out and get this thing dialed in perfectly and figure out the right choke application and throttle application? Yeah, absolutely. They've been on vehicles for 11 to 4 jillion years, right? But my wife's driving this, and she just wants simplicity and reliability and a little more pep. And I think we could do that with the sniper system. You got to imagine a small, petite gal in this truck parked on a hill or on an angled, parking lot in a motel or something like that, dancing between the clutch and the brake and pumping the throttle and pulling the choke, trying to get this thing going in the mornings on Power Tour. I'm not gonna do that to her, right? So I think we could just take this off, put this on the shelf, use it on something else, put that EFI in here so she could just jump in, hit that key, and boom, she lights off. Plus, I'm excited to see what kind of performance gains we get on it. It's already got the Affenhauser intake on her, and well, she's pretty well straight pipe. Sounds like a tractor mixed with a 12 valve. It's kind of cool. Now the tank, I'll show you what we're doing there. This has the original tank in it, so the filler is right here, and this is where the tank resides. Now we got clean fuel, we got a new sending unit in there, it actually works, there's no leaks or anything like that, but it's kind of a safety thing. We didn't have a ton of issues with these back in the days. There were some, of course, but I don't know. We just want to get this moved out of the cabin. We'll have some storage space there, and we'll increase on the safeties for the little lady. And we're going to tuck that fuel tank right back in here, allegedly, between these rotted frame rails. Here's what that tank looks like. It's this guy like this. So it'll sit more like so between the frame rails and the bed, so she could lower the tailgate, fill it right here. We're going to have return. We'll plug this off. This is our sending unit. Here's our feed down here. Now you can get an electric pump that just drops right in here, but listen, they're $11 to $9 gajillion, first of all. Second of all, they're 17,742 psi. We don't need that either. So for now, we're going to forgo this. We're just going to do an inline pump, which came in this kit right here. And then we'll be running that into the sniper system right there. Almost forgot about that. Whoops, my bad. I got to get this fixed. That was an accident. I was pulling a trailer, and you can see where it just barely scraped. I was so close. Thank goodness I didn't do any body panel damage, but took the lens off. I know you can't even tell. I fixed that already. But Jessica says this is not acceptable. It's got to look like that one. So I've got to repair this as well and add that to the list. Speaking of lists, here's what the little lady wants done. That's a big job right there, power steering. So we're kind of working on these right now. And then we might be able to mod the shifter, but there's quite a bit of other stuff to do. Clear coat, we want to get rid of the surface rust and go ahead and put the vice grip garage, probably the matte clear coat, maybe satin, we haven't decided yet. we want to get this all covered up as well. Well, I guess the guy's going to break her down into kind of 3 steps for the EFI systems, we'll call it. We got the mechanical disassembly and assemblage. So I'm going to start with that, because that's just, you know, carb off, carb on, essentially, or at least the bolts and all that. Then we got the wiring aspect of everything, which we'll probably do second. And then we got third, which is running the fuel lines, the fuel pump, the fuel filtrays, mounting the tank, and all that stuff. So I'm going to dig in, just start the disassembly process. I've learned a couple things in this process here. One, on a vacuum leak, which is probably the big reason it was shuttering here towards the end. 2, this is a nifty plate. I'm assuming that's low car, but we're gonna reuse that because we're gonna need that apparatus. Not sure why that was in there. That gasket's still good. The other thing I learned is this apparently is unfinished, because this will cut your belly open like a stuck pig, and I ain't kidding you. Okay, now we're gonna go ahead and just start the reassembly with the Holley Sniper. Well, the first thing a guy did is make sure that the adapter plate on the Offenhalser's intake was tight, because there's a different plate that screws into the actual intake log itself. Good to go there. Now we need to put some studs in, because we got the base gasket, we've got our adapter plate, we've got another gasket than the actual Holley Sniper body. Instead of the short little studs, I'm gonna go with the longer ones. They're gonna protrude a little bit, but it's better than fighting getting a nut on this or having to back them out to get the nut back on the top. I just don't like that because they could shake loose and whatever else. Okay. I'm going to put just a dab of high temp, room temperature vulcanization cream on these. You don't have to, but this thing shakes like a tractor, and I'm just nervous that these studs will eventually back out and cause a vacuum leak and all sorts of madness. Boop. Sure. I got 3 gaskets now. I've got 2 used and 1 new one that came in a kit. So I'm just going to grab the 2 best ones of the 3, I suppose. That would make sense. And we'll start stacking gaskets here. There. That'll kind of act like a glue. Best of the 2 used ones. Well, come on now. Easy. And then this nifty little adapter plate, which may need to be flipped around now. Yeah, I think that might have to go up top. And then the new gasket. There we go. And then the body. And it fit. Cleared the valve cover. Fuel is going to be tight. Really tight. With the, we could change the inlet, but the outlet has to come out of the pressure regulator. Wow, looks pretty good. Plop right on there, of course. This is what I was talking about. We've got to bring our fuel out of this and go back to the tank, but we've got this right in the way, so this is going to be really tight. We might have to do some sort of ghetto fab magic on a 8-end fitting or something there to make that work, and we can change that up to over here if we wanted to and loop that around, or over here. There's 3 ends. There's this one, and this one. You can choose whichever one is best for your setup, but the return always has to come out of this guy right here. So I'm going to snip some of these zip ties off, probably pull this choke cable through quick, and then start figuring out some of these vacuum lines. Of course, we still got vacuum advance to the lightning whirler over there I got to figure out quick, and just do some general cleanup here. Well, we did ask the question, wonder why that spacer is in there. Well, I just found out. The butterflies don't open into that intake appropriately. They're hitting the side, and you can see where the last feller kind of tried to clearance it or grind in there and must have gave up and put the spacer on. So I'm going to do the same thing. Let's just go ahead and concede and put this on. We know that worked. And then we'll put this gasket on like it was before, and we should be then ready to go. There we go. On the inside here, I took the choke out, which was in the dash there. Just had a nut on the back side of this unit here, and that popped right out. Now we got room for another switch for something. I don't know. We'll figure it out later. Throttle linkage is all hooked up back there. I just used the same ball stud instead of cracking open another kit, and that worked just fine. Did you know this is typically reserved for the Turbo 350, and this would be like a 200 or a 700 R4. And that's where it was. You can see the green marker too. So just put it in the same position, crawled in the cab, made sure we got wide open throttle when we did, because that's the most important thing. You can see here all the backfires this thing was having, all sorts of issues. But nonetheless, it's a good rebuilder. We're going to throw it on the shelf. Well, I did get the opposite of sad crankcase ventilation hose routed, as well as the vacuum advance. We want to hang on to that. And that's laid up here in what I think used to be the sensor and coil wiring hook-em-a-bobs. And then right now I'm loosening the fuel line, the steel line that would run up to the fuel make it happener. We're going to delete on this pump eventually, but before that, we probably want to drain the fuel that's in the original tank, and if we can, we're going to reuse it and just put it in the new tank, because we all know gas ain't getting cheaper, that's for sure. There we go. Now can I fish it out of here? Probably not. I think I could have with the points distributor, but not this high energy feller. Oh, maybe. Yeah, there we go. It's out. Got the clicky clacky. We're reusing this from the Catalina wine mixer. That's right, same exact one. But we put the clicky clacker and line on your old truck clamp on the battery over here, and then we're going to jam this one there. There we go. And now while we're working, this gas can be dumping into there. We'll run that ridge tank, you know, we get it dry. And then we got some reusage on the fuel over here on this thing. Checking on the fuel situation here, going good. I filled my snowmobile tank I used for revivals, got that filled up. That's about a third of the way. While this was going on, I was working on electrical connections over here. We got the harnesses, the digicals, my favorite stuff. Nope. But look, I've done a dozen of these now, probably more than that actually. And I'm getting it down. It's actually pretty simple. And here's a trick I'm going to show you to simplify this, because you look at this and you just start seeing all these different wires and you're thinking, Moses, sandals. It's going to be a spaghetti bowl minus mom's sweater. Well, look, I started depinning all this stuff, which you want to do anyway, because you don't want a bunch of essentially antennas hanging out of this that you're not using, picking up interference. Out of this whole gamut of wires, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, we're only using 2. Turn my electrical fan on and a tack output. All of these were depinned, not going to use them. Same with this harness. These are the ones we're going to use. I'm not going to use this for this ignition system, so I just depinned it. We're going to get rid of it. Now it's just positive, sad cable, fuel pump, 12 volt switch, hook that up to the light, and we're there. That's it. It's that simple. And no, you don't need a special tool to depin these. You'll hear that a lot or see that a lot. Nope. Just get your standard old pick and just jam it in there. Boop. And these things come shooting right out. So I'm going to study this up here. About got it memorized by now, but it's a good idea just to look through this, and then you can start planning where you're going to put all this. Like we've got a relay and a fuse we're going to have to put up on the firewall somewhere, maybe tuck it back in there. And then we got to bring stuff over to the battery. So how am I going to get there, right? So we might have to run along the valve cover here and then over to the battery, and then we've got our lead going to the fuel. So we got to start thinking about fuel lines and which way they're going to go, which brings us to the tank. Looks like feed's going to be on the passenger side, returns on the captain's side. So we're going to have to probably, well, we got exhaust. See, we got exhaust in the captain's. So I think we'll run everything down the drinker side, and then we can swing it up over if we need to. So just kind of working through all that stuff. Hello! It's about halfway now. Okay, these are those two connectors there. This is our temperature sensor. We can pop that in quick. That's going to go, should be over here. Yeah, right there. I've already recycled all my ice cube juice, so we should be able to pop that right out. Put our digital sensor in so we can connect that. Will this reach? Is that going to reach? Oh my goodness. Here's the next question. Oh, it's going to be taunt, but it'll reach. Okay, that's good. The other one, this is our CAN bus. That's going to be our digital handheld unit. That's going to swing that way, probably go through the firewall back there. This is the O2 sensor, which is going to replace the box of rags right there, I believe. The pipe does this 90-degree right here. So why couldn't the guys just drill a hole right there? That's kind of what I'm thinking. All right, plan? Good. Now the question will be, did I drain enough juice out? I hope so. Just recently bought my first pair of stubby wrenches. Life-changing. I don't know how I've gone all these years without it. I'll tell you that much. No juice leakage. That's good news. Well, this thread in there now. Well, I was hoping it would. Why wouldn't you? Oh, sure enough, it's a different size. Now we're in a pickle. Down Main Street! What's bigger than 3/4? 13/16? I don't know. I'm asking you. Well, that's wrong. Wrong kind of socket. Okay. So now I gotta come over here. Okay. I don't know if I can Main Street this thing out of here. Oh, it's bigger than that even. Huh. 64-foot extension and this. Oh, there we go. Well, I'm gonna get this adapter out so I can see what size it is and the likelihood I have one laying around, which is about 1.37% chance. So that's, pretty good, not bad. Okay. Yeah, that's definitely not going to go in there. Great. Got to figure this out. Not good. 47 months later, I found the right NPT fitting. to adapt this guy in so we can get this threaded in and get our coolant temperature sensor hooked up, which is vital for the system to operate. Timing tables, fuel tables, learning, all of that. You gotta have your coolant sensor hooked up. All right, so moving on to digitals. Now that this is physically mounted, everything's bolted in, we've got throttle linkage done, the vacuum stuff is taken care of, we've got our coolant temperature sensor hooked in. Now we need to move on to the big connectors. So I'm going to start off with the main harness here, and again, this is 12 volt switched. This is going to be TAC, or a coil signal, which we'll pull off of the lightning whirl there, and then we got SAT cable and happy cable. And this is the fuel pump ladder. So I kind of played around with it. Just take your time here, fellers. I put them over here, didn't like it, because that's a lot of green pasture, and anything just really pops out. I stuffed them behind the engine. It just, I don't know, I didn't like it there either. Where I think I'm gonna land, and I'm talking about these right here, which is a fuel pump relay and a fuse for the main power. I think I'm gonna put them right here. This is already ugly anyway. We've got wires and a bunch of air lines and stuff like that. So I think I'm gonna stick them there, and then our connector is close. We can run that around back, zip tie everything up, kind of clean it up behind the air cleaner, and then we'll run just through this loop just like that, probably through that loop if we can, and then we'll bring it down the valve cover and then jump across. I might even reroute this above. I might spin this up and over so it kind of looks natural, but that's going to give us kind of a trough to come over here to the battery. In an ideal world, if I had a universal battery tray, maybe I could make one. Battery would be nice back there, so everything would be clean, get it off of here, but this one's already been welded in, so maybe we just leave that alone, I guess. But that's where I'm going to start, is just with this one. Once we get that buttoned up, we're halfway there. We just got to do the other one, and we're crawling forward. You don't tell anybody, but the guy's actually using nut certs back here. Jessica finds out it just slams some self-tappers through there. Better make up that couch. You know what I mean? Okay, here we go. I just mocked them up there, hit it with a marker, just so I kind of knew approximately where I was aiming, you know. Yeah, waller this out just a hair. Is that enough waller? Ooh, found a rat's nest in there. Just enough waller. Bye, mouse. Evicted. Okay. Yeah. Bring her back. Bring her out. Using metric 5 screws on this stuff because it's the last pouch I got. Okay. All right. Yeah. Here. All right. There we go. I wonder what Tanya Tucker's doing today. I mean, I certainly don't know, but maybe you do. Out of the way, but accessible. If we ever have to replace or do some troubleshooting. There we go. Very nice. So now that the relay and the fuse is in, I can start dancing that wire around the engine. We're probably going to have to extend on that, get it up to the battery. And this big blue one here, that's going to be sent back for the fuel pump. Now keep in mind, if you're running some big boy horsepower fuel pump, it sounds weird, but You're going to run the fuel pump relay into another fuel pump relay. Then that relay will run power to your fuel pump. Ask me how I know. Yeah, I found that out the hard way about 46 times. Reason being is you want power directly from the battery to the relay providing power to your pump. This one will do a pretty decent size pump, just, you know, stockish up to 450 horse kind of deal. If you're over that, you're going to want another relay. The MSD solid state relays, good choice for that stuff. Sure enough, got to extend these. So this is just cheap wire from O'Reilly's out of that self-help aisle or whatever. Like size, we're just gonna mend these in and then we'll bring them up to the battery. Probably gonna have to do the same with the fuel pump wire because, I mean, they give you a pretty good length, but it's not enough to go, you know, back where we want it most likely, but not a huge deal. Also, there's some wire loom stuff that comes in the kit. This right here. We'll probably use that. And you're welcome. This is every vehicle I've ever worked on. And I don't know why it says, you know, do not, but there's that. So let me get these extended and then we'll run it up, make it look nice, get it connected to the battery. We're making headway. Well, I've got the 12 volt switch ran through the firewall. We'll deal with that later. This right here, running along the valve cover, is going to be the main battery, which I don't have connected right now. The SAD cable is, this one isn't. So now it's time to hook in the other connector because that's really it for that. We have one wire over here that needs to go to, never see that again, the lightning whirler, which we're going to address now because I have a tack in the truck already. And that tack comes up here. Well, for Pete's sake, how can I not get, there we go. That's this wire right here, this white wire. So what I'm going to do is probably unclip this, swing this over here because we're going to be connecting that to a brown wire in a second. And that's going to be from the sniper out into the tack. Then we're going to be taking the tack signal and sending that into the sniper. So the sniper understands when this thing is supposed to be firing essentially. And then it's just going to send that same signal back out and we're going to keep the tack. So we don't have to mess with the tack inside the truck at all. We're just going to be doing a little out here. Well, other than the 12 volt switch, the wiring is basically done other than the O2 sensor. So gonna get the rig up right now and take a look at the exhaust and see where we're gonna put that. That's most ideal and reaches our connector. First time under the truck in years and we got work to do. First of all, I gotta get this covered up. Oh, guess the transmission came out of the junkyard. But we can come in here and clean up all these zip ties and get some of this wiring cleaned up. All this stuff is gonna go away. This is to the old fuel tank. There's a valve there. She rusted out pretty quick. Bottom side of the bed isn't protected. I might have to pull those boards off and take a look at that. These got really corroded. Oh boy. That's stuck. We should get the moisture out of that. Oh, it's already got a Widowmaker on it. That's interesting. I thought it was straight piped, but I guess not. I guess not. That's the underside of the rig. This is where that fuel tank's going to go. I believe I need to get at minimum this piece out for that to sit in there correctly. Well, anywho, looking at the exhaust here, really isn't any good way that I could get a drill through the bottom side anywhere to get this O2 in. I think what's going to have to happen is I'm going to have to drill from the top, put it over here, and that's kind of a long ways away, but it's my best shot. I don't even know if I could fit a drill in here, even if I had a weld-in bung, which I thought I did. Oh, that doesn't look normal. Maybe we should address that. Looks like there was something welded in there. That seems to have completely broken, disappeared. Great. Add that to the list. Well, I got the O2 cut in up here. Not super happy with the location. I think it's just hokey pokey, but it's what I got right now. We're just gonna have to fire it on this, see if it's gonna be happy enough. And then we might have to pull this exhaust system apart to weld in a bung somewhere that's closer and more appropriate at some point. This kit comes with a little do-it-yourself strap-on thing. You just drill a hole, throw this adapter in, and you just strap it on with 2 straps, and that's it. Okay, that is in. Again, I don't like that at all, and it's going to get a lot of, well, I guess they all get water and stuff on them, but I'd kind of like to see it up in there with a weld-in bung. We can make that happen in the future, maybe even in a couple weeks. I get Chad down here, he can bring one down and buzz her in and patch that up. So anywho's, we're moving on. Last things we got is 12 volt switched and the screen here, and that's pretty much it except for fuel. So I moved on to the screen because that's the last thing that kind of goes out into the engine compartment there, and I want to get that buttoned up. So I looked all over in here where to put this thing, and I landed on this. This is the old temperature gauge here, dummy light, and I'm going to double side tape this just like that. So if you glance in the truck, you know there's a lot going on in here anyway, but it's not really going to stick out that much, but it's right in your face, so we're going to have temperature and everything like that. And then I think I'm going to go ahead and get rid of this 3-pack and probably just put in an oil pieces one. This is worthless. By the time you get to 190, 200, it's hard to tell what's going on within your hot. So, out with that. I'm going to clean this up with some alcohol, and then we're just going to double side tape this right onto that. Well, the guy's down to the last one here. I got this mounted up in there. Looks good. And then I also fixed the lighter thingy power outlet. It was just hanging. So I finally disconnected all the wires, drilled this out bigger, fed it through, put the nut on from the back, and fixed that up. Mazel when I was here. Okay, this is a nightmare. But long story short, poked and prodded and prickled until I found a keyed 12 volt source. Now the trick is, you can find 12 volt in here with the key on, but while cranking, you're supposed to have 12 volts too, which I found, quite honestly, having done this 11-9 times, pretty hard to do. The best I could find was 9.49 during crank. Now, what may end up happening is this will reboot during crank, which is going to give you a no start. So you're going to have to watch that when you turn it on, screen will fire, it'll boot up. When you're cranking, that screen should stay lit, and you'll see your vitals on there. If it flashes and then reboots again during crank, you don't have enough voltage. You're going to have issues. So we're going to plug it in right down here to this ignition one. So I've just got to terminate this so I can boop it into there, and that's it. Well, let's test this thing. It ain't going to start. We ain't got fuel to it yet, but we can go through everything else here real quick. Key on. It's going to boot. There we go. Now we're going to make sure that it stays on during crank. Okay, good there. And we'll run through the wizard quick. 6-cylinder, 292. Let's go 720 for now. It's stock. No nitrous yet. Coil. Let's make a file here. Cycle the ignition. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and cycle this off. Cycle it back on. There we go. Now if we go to monitor, we can see TPS is at 0, but if I hit the throttle, right, we can see volts. We can go back to there you go. We'll see if it's got RPM during crank. Yeah, it doesn't. I'm going to have to check that out. See, I don't think we got enough voltage here. I'm going to have to take a look at that. Got that fixed. See RPM. Bad fitting. This guy here, I don't know, there's a bunch of that plastic junk melted up in the actual inside. So it wasn't making a good connection. So trim this off, put a trusty old Walmart fitting on her, and bingo. So you can set these up however you want. For me, I just put coolant and voltage on here because I've got my tachometer here and I'm going to have my oil pressure down here. So there's no sense in cluttering this up with a bunch of nonsense I don't need to see. Now during the initial setup, you know, we can come into a screen like this. That's not a problem. We can even go, you know, you can go back to all the basics here for initial fire off, but this is one that I just customized for Jessica. Keep it simple. We don't need anything crazy on there. Well, just for tonight, I think I'm going to call it. It's pretty late out right now, but the Holley sniper system is basically in. It's complete. We had a good night. Tomorrow we've got fuel tank, fuel pump, fuel lines, and then we can turn that key and see how the straight 6 sounds with that Holley sniper. I'm actually pretty fired up for this. I've done it on a OHC straight 6 and a couple other ones, and man, did it make a difference. And I'm hoping the same for this rig. See you bright and early tomorrow morning. Okay, cold snack time. Well, it's early in the morning. Sun's not even up yet. My favorite time to take AG1. AG1 is a daily nutrition packed full of 75 vitamins, minerals, and whole food source items carefully curated for your body. AG1 makes it very simple to have a daily routine with their canister and 1 scoop, or their handy dandy little travel packs here. They make it so easy to feel better and show up your best. I've talked about this a bunch, and I have to thank AG1 for helping me cut out energy drinks almost completely out of my diet. I take this in the morning and I have sustained energy throughout the afternoon. Normally I would crash in the afternoons, late evenings, but not anymore with AG1. It helps me power through the day and I get clarity and focus. I'm able to really just be productive and hone in on whatever I'm doing. Helps me with the goldfish syndrome, you know what I mean? The other thing I really value about AG1 is, look, this is all I need. I was able to get rid of all of the different multivitamins and snake oils and this and that and whatever else off of my counter. Literally all I take is this, and that's my 75 vitamins and minerals. I don't need anything else. It simplifies my daily routine. I'm gonna show you how easy it is to use AG1. I'm gonna use a water bottle. My shaker's still in the truck from yesterday. Haven't cleaned it yet. Get off my back, okay? Just gonna use the canister here. 1 scoop, super easy. However, scooping into a water bottle, it's slightly advanced, but you'll get there. I'm doing pretty good. Not bad. Give this a quick shake here. Now, a lot of you are wondering, what's this taste like, right? Well, at first I was a little apprehensive as well, but I gotta tell you, I started to actually crave this in the mornings as just a flavor. It's really not that bad. Go to athleticgreens.com/vice-grip to get started on your first purchase and get 1 free year of vitamin D3 plus K2 and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. Again, thanks to AG1 for sponsoring today's video. Let's get into Longmire. We got a lot of work to do. Morning. Remember last night when I said, guys, I'm gonna shut her down and tomorrow we're gonna get this fuel system done? Well, I tried. I tried so hard, and then I had to walk by the truck to leave, and then that meant we had to do a valve train inspection. I put this engine together 10, 12 years ago, something like that. The thing runs like a Swiss watch, but I just wanted to check. So popped the valve cover off, the rockers, all the valve train look immaculate. They look really good, nothing needs adjusted, everything's where it should be, which is great. Then I got to looking at the valve cover. It was all dirty, and the air cleaner was chrome. Clearly that's not gonna work. So I spray painted them. I mean, we rock tumbled them and then powder coated them and then wiped them down with some top secret degreaser, and then they were powder coated. I lost the receipts. I don't know, the receipt could be in a glove box or something. Okay, they're orange now, and we'll put those back on as soon as the spray powder coat is dry on them. But today we got to get this fuel system done. We're going to start with the big project, which is mounting this tank right in front of me, back behind the frame rails there, and figuring all that stuff up. So I'm going to get this up in the air once again so we can start planning on this thing. Whew, man. So this plate here, we talked about a little bit yesterday, but I just looked at it closer. Looks like it's been cut off. Probably an old hitch system. There's a bolt here and 2 here, and that's going to effectively get this plate off and this plate, which is fine because it's not doing good things to the frame anyway. And then this guy here, we might have to measure. We might be able to leave that in, although it could really, well, no, let's just take it out. It's gonna get in the way of the filler. So we got these factory rivets in there. Might just hit them with a torch, if I'm being honest, otherwise we're gonna be here all day. Yep. Yeah, yep. The other side, I torched because it's hanging over the ramp here. I couldn't get the impact on her. This side, I'm gonna try to take it off with the impact. That doesn't seem to be. Reconfigure my wrench here. Woo! Melted her off. Huh. That's right. Off is off. That's never going to come out of there, though. Great. All right. Yep. Ha! Yep. Yep. Okay. All right. Got one out. Maybe the other. Working on that. Bolt on the side. You saw it. Yeah, you did. I showed it to you. Well, can I even get the right wrench? Yeah, this one should do. Love getting rust in my eyeballs! Successful rust eyeball injection. Mercy sakes! Oh, I've never seen such a. Okay, I got it. No big deal. I'm might have to get some gloves. This thing's vibrating my spleen. I ain't kidding you. Oh, that was easy. Oh, they should make all bolts like this one. What in the devil? Okay. Sweet. This one's still stuck. You're still stuck on here. I need you to come out. Yep. What? Why are you doing this to me? It's really fun. Okay. Need fresh air. Nope, keep going. Got these little rivets I gotta get out of here. Similar to the Titanic, and they seem to be in the same condition. Just taking it nice and easy. A little time. Trying to just shave them smooth. One more, and we should be able to knock this thing out of here. Trying to protect the wiring on this one. It's not going good. Well, add rewiring lights to the list. Okay. Everything's fine. Everything is fine. There's fire on the ground. Had to open the door and get the fan going. My glove that's non-flammable is flammable. And she went up. Let me tell you what. How come I got extra wires back here? They may have survived. All be dead. Huh. Anyway, this is the piece we were after the whole time. Gotcha! This big pile of rust and chunks just from that process. I got it up in there so I can sweep a little bit, but I'm gonna have to really clean up these rails before I drop that tank in, and probably paint them with something to try to protect them a little bit, because this stuff is going quick back here. Also got these two wires. I don't know what those go to. The tails seem to be working, so I had to look at the rig here. Can't forget that shock. Big issue I just realized a lot of you are probably yelling at me about is that ain't gonna work under there, because once I test fit it in, this bumper is higher than the bottom of the fuel tank back here. And while this bumper, when we drop the bags, sits on the ground. So now we're in a pickle, because we're gonna have to do quite a bit of work to get it to sit in up there. Great. So now, plan F is going to cut this, cut that, and lay it in here, which I think is probably the intended purpose. Most likely a square tube frame or something in here. But we're gonna have to do some welding and some supporting and some other stuff. And I'm thinking, even though it's gonna be a pain, I'm gonna take out probably slats from here all the way to here, maybe I take the whole thing out and we just go ahead and treat the underside of this wood while we got it out. We could even flip it over. Well, I guess we could. So this side can go over here if we wanted to change the color. Have to ask Jessica, but anyway, it's turning into a big project here. Get it on the ground, get the rear cleaned out, start taking off boards. All right, that came out pretty good. Some of these nutserts had some rust in them. And look at this stuff here. It's just getting, well, it's Minnesota for you. But anywho's, I'm gonna lift it back up. I think I'm gonna weld these from the bottom to the frame underneath. There's not a ton of weight on this bed. There's a structure in the back as well holding it. But I wanna keep all these in, doing something, helping share the load. Thank goodness there's not a lot that goes on back here, but the weight of the tailgate, the bumper, things like that, well, actually not even the bumper, it's just the body. The bumper's floating. But that downward weight, you can already see, it's pretty jiggly compared to the frame. So I don't want to lose any of that stability. So we'll weld her up, then we're going to cut it, and then we're going to watch it bend, and we're going to lose that stability. Then we'll just set that fuel tank in and say we're done. Just dug out a box from our fan mail that we open usually once a month over on Vice Grip Lodge. And this is from Matthew, the guy that had the truck after well, he bought the truck after me. He's the one that bagged it and did all that stuff. Anyway, look at this. There's the original T5 shifter. We're going to try to utilize that. He said he felt bad about the pressure switch, which really had nothing to do with him at all. He sent a new switch, and most importantly is fittings for the fuel tank. I was having a devil of a time finding this guy right here, which is the vent. It's got this check ball in there, and this could be for the return right there. So huge thank you to him. We can put these in that fuel tank. Oh, here it is over here. I forgot where I put it for a second. So see, I was going to do something like this and then bend up some hard line, but now that goes in there. We just run a rubber line. That'll be our vent. This is going to be our return right there. And then we have our outlet. I have a 8-end fitting, and we'll go to a barbed. So we'll be set. This was actually a power steering line to AN, but that's great. Fig Newton Biddlefold. Okay, let's see. I think I can melt some lava here. Or is lava already melted? I think I can displace lava. Whatever, I'm welding. This is what I'm trying to tell you. Okay. Trying to weld rusty metal is my favorite. No, it's definitely not. Okay. Yeah, I don't know how much this is actually doing, but you know. I mean, it's the thought that counts. Wow, you can really dance. Well, they are welded. I'll tell you that right now. Okay, sure. All right. Yep. No idea what I'm doing here, but I guess my hope is these welds are going to help stability for when we slice this, because then it's going to be a cantilever essentially over here. So it's going to want to pull down or up on this side. Should probably put a gusset or something over here, but I'm lazy, so we're not. Okay, now we'll bring her back down and slice them off. Yep. All right, let's get this out of here. Just gonna try to eyeball her a little bit. I don't know. Oh yeah. See? What was that noise? What is it? See it? That one bojangled on me. She sunk down a little bit. Well, too late now. We're in it. We're in the thick of it. Sure. Ouch! Bent blade! Bent blade! Sure. Well, we got some more room in here now. You see? That's where we're going to put the tank. It's right there. I don't know if we covered this or not. That should probably work. I'm pretty happy with this though, to be honest. If I apply a bunch of weight, it seems to be pretty good. Test fitting. Test fitting. Oh, ouch. It's hard on the knees. Okay, we got some trimmage to do on the aluminiums. Do we? We do. It's kind of too bad. It just misses this bolt right here. Had they made this a little bit wider, we could have just used this whole bolt to fasten this down. But instead, I'm going to have to trim this out here, and then we'll have to make our own provision up through there. Maybe with a nut cert ourselves. Haven't decided yet. But that's pretty much what it's going to look like right there. Oh, gotta do it again. Well, she sat down in there pretty decent. Got her clampetted in with the best tool ever made, vice grip over there. Now I need to make some marks, drill some holes, figure out how we're gonna fasten these things. I'm either gonna put a bolt in and weld it, or do a nut cert. Haven't decided yet. Decided to go with nut certs, so I'm just drilling some holes here for those. Going with 3/8 hardware, so there's some big old boys. All right. Guys, got to hit this with a little bit of air. We're going to clean it up again, hit it with air again. Then we're actually going to paint inside those frame rails before we drop that tank in. Perfect. DE 1634 because, well, no other paint exists. Oh yeah. Powder coating, making brand new, making brand new, eliminating rust, straightening frame. Oh, there we go. So I was just using my leaf blower here, clean up the truck, and Bentley comes in and says, "Dad, I made you something." Look at this. 100% homemade leaf blower. Pretty identical. And it even works. Yeah, it's blowing wind. Hey, I can use this to dry my paint. That's perfect. Thanks, buddy. High five, good job. 3/8 nut certs are in. I'm gonna let this paint finish drying. Wherever it's shiny, that'll go away when it's dry. And we can drop that tank and get it bolted up. Then I can lift it up again, tidy up this wiring. Then we can start thinking about fuel line running, which is probably gonna have to be very similar to how that electrical is ran. We've got to go up over that big step notch around the bag and then into the original frame is what I'm assuming. I got to get in here someday. I know a lot of you are probably biting on your lips. Yeah, all that needs wire wheeled, rust treated, and then some sort of chassis coat. But today's not the day. Ain't got the time. Okay, tank going in, hopefully for the last time. See if all my holes line up now. Pretty close. I think we can make that work. Use a 3/8 16 serrated flange bolt here. Get all started, then we can worry about tightening them. Oh, I think we're home free. Yep. There we go, installed. We got fuel tankage. It's in. Looks really good, actually. I actually didn't even order that. This came with the truck, so I'm happy the thing's doing the thing. All right, let's get this up like I beforehand mentioned. Start figuring out fuel routing. We'll probably bring it back down again, goof up all the fittings. I just want to make sure we're test fitting and looking at everything first and all the moving parts and pieces before we charge ahead and then have to redo everything because I just ain't got the time. We'll have to do something here with the filler neck. I already talked to Jessica. She wants to leave this color wood. She likes that, which is great. But we're going to have to, you can come in. Jessica's got some mail or something here. We're going to have to do something with like a, you want to do like a door or a flapper or something here?
Yeah, I think
like on the side?
Yeah, like on the side.
So she likes the tin old school one that I put on the side over there where there used to be another filler neck. And I think I got it off of Evil Bay or something. It's just like a tin, it's definitely not a fuel door. It's like to a bird cage or something. But we're gonna do something similar here, but I've got to order that. I don't have it yet. So we're gonna run it for a while without the two center boards is what I'm getting at. Took a while to get there, but we got it, okay? All right, up in the air. Other good news, the work we did previously wasn't for weather vane. See right here was that other support bar. We got that out. That tank fits nicely. The frame will hit before the tank will actually, so that's really cool. All this, I'm just gonna tuck back up in here again, throw some zip ties around it, call that good enough, you know what I mean? Okay, fuel lines. So we're gonna have three things really. We're gonna have feed, we're gonna have return, those are gonna be running this way, and then we're gonna have our sending unit for the fuel gauge. Yeah, I know what you're thinking. Derek needs a fuel gauge. No, I don't. All right? Listen, my wife, she probably doesn't even need it either. But I'm going to give it to her. All right? It's the finer things in life. I'm going to treat my wife to a fuel gauge because I don't want her doing the math and how far and running out and carrying 15 gas jugs. Whatever else. The e-brakes were cut off of this. Pretty sure I did that. Okay, back to this. So here they just did some clips up over the step notch. I think we're going to do the same exact thing. Probably one big one here, one big one there. These will swoop gently up there. We just got to make sure this is almost a pinch point right here. on that. I guess it's a Watts link. I'm gonna try to feed them behind this just so we don't have any interference with the bag, because those things get pretty squishy when the air comes out. And then we'll run. Right here is my goal. I need to cut this still, get this line out. We're gonna have pre-filter pump, post-filter out. A couple bracket tries in here, and the old tank stuff can just sit up there, like I said, for a while. Probably also gonna get in here with some more tape and try to secure some more of this. We're really putting the miles on this thing. We've already got several thousands of miles down, and once this EFI is in and hopefully the power steering and the tank relocation, Jessica's really going to be driving this thing, so I want to make sure it's right. I also need to see if I can get a different output shaft gear for the speedometer, because that's wrong. I need to shop around for that at some point. I'll forget. Okay, good, we got a plan here. So I think where I'm going to start is just scooping up the fittings here, getting the feed and return line kind of draped in. Then we can come back and start pinning that up. I got updates. Return is plumbed in. Feed is plumbed in. That's my last 45 to barbed from 6M. And that kind of set it up nice. Got it set up through these big, gigantic zip ties. I'm going to try to use those. I tried to drill through that steel and it wasn't happening. Those can pull a car, so I think that'll be fine. The return is already plumbed, cut and fitted and ready to go up front. Now we just got to feed, so now I can actually snug these up and get that set up correctly so we can cut our feed line and start putting in our pre and post filters and pump. Got the rigs mounted up in here. Gotta swing this down yet. I gotta loosen that up a little. Anywho's, write the dates and stuff on your things, guys. You drive this for 2 years and you crawl under here and you go, when did I put them in? Well, I don't know. And if I don't know, how do you know? Okay, so all I gotta do is just boop. And then we should be good. Some progress up here. Got the valve cover back on. Also got the return. I always mark mine with red. Tape assist, you know, red for return, red round, or whatever. And then got the other one plumbed in as well. This is all pretty well ready to go. I didn't get to changing the oil or the sparkulators or any of that other stuff that I really wanted to do. We're just gonna have to deal with that some other time because I'm running out of time and it's fixing to become tomorrow morning essentially. So we're just gonna have to see if we can fire this thing, and if it runs, great. Everything else we're gonna have to button up later because I ain't got the time. Did you find some fuel?
Yeah, I got the spout.
The spout? All right, let's fill it up. Little man's hanging out tonight. Today's the last day of school. So he gets to stay up late a little bit tonight and sleep in. Nice. Thank you, bud. This is gonna be dicey. Yeah. That crack is open. I don't know what the capacity is of that tank. I'm hoping it's at least 15 gallons-ish. This truck gets 16 to 18 miles to the gallon if you drive it, you know, without your foot through the firewall. But we'd still like to have some capacity compared to the other trucks, especially when we're cruising. Putting in some old gas. This is the gas we drained out of the old tank. We're just reusing it. I think everything should be ready to see if this thing could fire. Obviously it's not complete, but like I say, it is very, very late, or I guess early, depending on how you look at it. So I just want to hear this thing run. We're going to call it good enough for now. I got a flight at, what'd Mom say, 7:30 in the morning?
Yeah.
Which means I'm out of here at like 3 or something. So, which is, I think that's now, actually. So, we'll see what happens here. Well, we think we're ready. Bentley's going to look for leaks up here on the unit. I'm going to cycle the key a couple times. Something I've learned after doing 394 of these, you really want to prime it before you start cranking, otherwise it's going to be a while. Just like any fuel system, the juice squirters in there got to have fuel, right? So let the pump do the pumping thing and cycle it all the way through. Now, if all goes well, we're going to demonstrate right here what one of the benefits of putting a Holley Sniper on is. This truck, and Bentley knows this, you have to pump it, you got to pull the choke, you got to keep revving it, and you got to play with the choke and the throttle. It's a nightmare. Basically, you can't move for what, 5-8 minutes?
Yeah.
When it's cold, it's going to quit. So if all goes well, I should be able to just turn the key. It's going to fire up the digital computer. It's like, instead of Jesus take the wheel, it's Holley take the wheel. All right, watch for leaks, buddy. Run your fingers around those fittings and make sure nothing feels wet or cold. Pump's running, building pressure. Anything? Cycling it again. Okay, one more time. I'm going to look back here. All right, I hear it returning to the tank. All right, get your hands out of there. I'm going to crank it over. Watch that fan. All right, no throttle. In fact, I'll just lean in, hit the key. There we go. Oh, I got to remember, we don't have coolant in here. Can't run it too long. Wow, what a difference. That right there makes it worth it. It's going to run high idle for a bit because, like I say, this thing is cankerous. Then it'll come down. It's still cold and it's even snappier. Wow. It's alive! There's no coolant in it, so it's showing 88 degrees, so it's going to run high idle for a while because it's not going to warm up, right? But it already, look how smooth this is running. Before, that would be shaking. I still got to block the pump on. Is it out of the old pump?
I didn't see it really. I just saw it.
Oh yeah, the coolant sitting. Good catch, buddy. Bentley found a leak. Good job. Got to tighten up that fitting. There we go. Just have to come in and adjust the idle a little bit here. And we have to adjust the idle screw down just a tickle. Now it's just purring. Now we just gotta let it learn. The longer it runs, the more it learns, right? Tomorrow maybe we should cruise. Oh, I gotta leave right away. When I get back, we gotta cruise this. Yeah. Awesome. Sounds great. Starting issue resolved. I can't wait to see what it does on the highway. Well, we sure got a long ways to go on the honey-do list, but two of the bigger items, call them done. EFI swap. Yep. Runs much better already. Fuel tank relocation. Sure, but we still got a power steering conversion. We got to mod the shifter. We got to fix the seat. We got to clear coat the thing. We got basic maintenance. We got cooling fans and tail lights and shocks and suspension and greasing and a whole bunch of other stuff. But I'm out of time. I've got to pack. Another revival coming soon. Thanks, guys, for watching. Appreciate it so very much. We'll see you soon. Remember, your project won't work if you won't.